Where did Watchtower get the name Watchtower from? And where did they get their icon of the tower from? So if you ask a Jehovah's Witness this question, they're going to say it has something to do with Ezekiel. I think a one-liner scripture where Ezekiel said something about being a watchman or something. And apparently they based their whole religion off of that one line in Ezekiel. Now, I could be wrong about that. That's a minor detail, but it had something to do with that. But when you think of the name Watchtower, it doesn't really sound religious. It doesn't sound holy. It doesn't really sound anything to do with God at all. So, what kind of name is Watchtower? What is the real meaning behind it? Where did they get that idea from? Well, if you look at the right side, this, I believe, is the very first Watchtower magazine. Before that, they, I think, had articles and newspapers, but I think this right here might have been the very first magazine, or maybe not, but it's one of the really old magazines. And what you can see is on the left, you can see something looks strikingly similar. Both of these images look very, you could say, gloomy, esoteric. In fact, on close examination, you can see that it's pretty much depicting the same thing. And the one on the left is called the tower, right? Just about the same thing as the watchtower. So, what did this religion actually really base the name Watchtower on and the logo? Well, the pictures on the left, and this is something that will shock most Jehovah's Witnesses. In fact, it even shocked me when I first found out about it. But the pictures on the left, that is the tower card of the tarot deck. That's right, tarot cards. Something that Jehovah's Witnesses teach is very demonic, right? Jehovah hates tarot cards. He hates anything to do with divination. And yet it appears that Charles Taze Russell and the rest of the people with him, they decided to take the tarot tower card and use that as the logo for the Watchtower magazine. So they took the name and the logo. Now, some might say, being skeptical, that it's just a coincidence. Yeah, they look similar, but it's not the same thing. Well, by the end of this video, there's not going to be any doubt that this indeed is depicting the same thing. The Watchtower is using the tarot card. And I'm going to break this down even further. So let's take a look at a couple of different images. Now, this is what I believe when the Watchtower first started publishing, and they had a part in a magazine, I think, or this might have just been one sheet of paper. I can't quite recall. But whether this was one sheet of paper or it was actually in a magazine, you could see at top that the tower symbol is right in between watch and tower. So even before they had a full magazine, they're already using that symbol. So this one, again, you can see very similar, right? Very gloomy, dark, esoteric. And the tarot cards are like any deck of cards where every deck looks different. So they're not going to all look exactly the same, but I mean, look at that. You can see that it's very, very similar. And then we have another one here that also is very similar, right? And you can see in this one it has the all-seeing eye, but we'll talk about that later. But the tower, we can see that very similar. And in fact, this one looks like almost the exact tower that the Watchtower actually used. And here's another one, the tower. Do you see the theme? It has the same dark, gloomy, esoteric theme, the tower, the Watchtower. Now, this is where I'm going to start breaking it down a little bit more detail. So in this one, you can see on the left, the tower card, that the lighthouse is emitting these rays of light, right? And then you can also see on the Watchtower, it's got the rays of light coming from the lighthouse, depicting the same thing. But not just that, if you look at the bottom of both of these, you see the waves of water crashing into the tower. So that's another significant thing about the tarot cards and a Watchtower. Now, in this one, you can see the waves crashing at the bottom of the tower. And on this card, it looks like the all-seeing eye is what's emitting the rays of light. Now, when it comes to the all-seeing eye and Watchtower, we know that's another connection because the all-seeing eye is hidden in a lot of older Watchtower material. For example, for those who haven't seen all of my other videos, if you go to jw.org website, on their own website, search for Jehovah's Witnesses Faith in Action Part 1, and you want to go to exactly 36 minutes and 50 seconds on their own website, and you're going to see an all-seeing eye and pyramid. And what this is it's a clip of their video called The FOMO Drama of Creation. But in that clip, they show the all-seeing eye from their own production. And then, of course, we have the Denmark Assembly Hall, which I covered in some of my other videos, and many other XJWs that cover this thoroughly as well. And they have this assembly hall completely constructed as the all-seeing eye from an aerial view. Now, that's the address. You can type that address in right on Google Earth, just like you see it there, and it will bring you right to this assembly hall. Now, of course, Jehovah's Witnesses, I think it's unclear if they already sold the building or if they're in the process of selling it. But clearly it was their building. And as you can see, the all-seeing eye again. So it shouldn't surprise us that the all-seeing eye is also showing up in this tarot card as the rays of light. And you see this one too, it's got the waves crashing on the tower. But what's interesting about this one on the left is that the waves are not actually in the picture, but the reflection of the waves are on the tower. So on this one, they really made it a point to specifically make sure that those waves were still in the picture. That it just shows up as a reflection. And whenever you see things like this, these are like little secret hidden meanings usually on certain things. So this just shows on the left that the waves are significant on some of these tarot cards for some reason. And you see on a Watchtower magazine, again, you got the waves there. And here's another one. So I mean, there's hundreds of these tarot cards online, and they all look different because they're all, just like a regular deck of cards, they all got different designs. But you can see the general theme. And this one again has the waves as the Watchtower has the waves at the bottom. But this one also has a sword in the left top corner, right? If you see where my mouse is at, left top corner, there's a sword. Same on a Watchtower, right? On the right corner, you see a sword there. So you see, the more we examine this, we start to see more characteristics. Not only is it the name Watchtower and the tower itself, then you got the rays of light, the waves of water. There's these little hidden symbols that are making it known that this is from the tarot card, what they're using in a Watchtower. So now I want to explain something a little bit deeper. And this woman explains it pretty well. I'm only going to play a little clip of what she says. But what's important is, what does this tower card actually mean? So let's just listen up to someone who's an expert when it comes to tarot cards.
Tarot. So the Tower. This is such an intense card. This might be the most intense card in all of in the whole tarot deck, but definitely within the major arcana. So the Tower used to be a card that would make me kind of like inwardly gasp when I turned it over in a reading, because it is such an intense card. So some keywords to keep in mind for this card. These are essentially the meanings of this card are destruction, sudden collapse, unexpected upheaval, flash of enlightenment, loss of status, a fall from grace, energetic release, and being set free. So some symbols to pay attention to on this card is the tower itself. So if you look, you'll notice that it is kind of an ivory tower. There's two crowns on this card. So there's the crown on the head of the falling person, and then there's a big giant crown on top of the tower. And I'll talk a little bit about the crowns as we move into things.
So you heard what she said about the crowns, right? That there's two crowns, one being the person fallen has a crown, and then the top of the tower is actually a crown. Now, not all tarot cards have two crowns, but this is an example of what she was talking about. You see on the left that the reason they use this type of tower, and of course the Watchtower uses that particular type of tower, is because the top of the tower is shaped like a crown. So when you're seeing this tower come down, the top of the tower is another crown that's falling. So that's one crown. And then as she said, the people falling from the tower, one of these is supposed to have a crown, at least from the like original tarot, I believe, but they're not all exactly the same. But that's, for example, the top is also a crown. Now, this is an example of one that has the two crowns. So you can see that the person falling in the blue has a crown on their head. And then as you see, as the top of this the top of this tower that's falling, and it looks like the sun is where the energy is coming from that's knocking this tower down, but you can see the top of the tower is supposed to be a crown. So when we look at this Watchtower magazine, are there two crowns? Well, as we know, the top of the tower is that type of tower that's shaped like a crown. And this is the one the Watchtower still uses on all their magazines, is this crown shape. So where's the second crown? Well, they're not going to have the two people falling from the tower, because that would be too obvious that it is the tarot card. So they can't be that obvious. So there's got to be another crown hidden, right? So where is the second crown? And I know many of you already know the answer to this question. The Freemasonic Knights Templar crown and cross. So there's a deeper meaning why this crown and cross is on the magazine. Now, the most basic reason it's here is because we know that the founder, Charles Taze Russell, was a Freemason or Knights Templar, same thing. And some people debate on whether or not he was a Knights Templar or a Freemason. Well, right here in Wikipedia, and I'm not saying I always trust Wikipedia because anyone can make edits on it, so it's not always trustworthy, but this is a pretty just quick explanation of it. And as you can see, that this crown and cross is associated with Knights Templar Freemasonry, right? So there's a connection between the Knights Templar and Freemasonry. So just a side note for any Jehovah's Witness watching this video, why is there Freemasonic symbols on the Watchtower magazine? But this is the most basic reason why that's on the magazine, because Charles Taze Russell in this organization was created by Freemasons. But of course, the deeper meaning is that it allows the Watchtower to subliminally put the two crowns on the magazine. So that's the deeper reason why it's there. So it fits the tarot card because you got the two crowns, the crown from the falling tower and a Freemasonic crown and cross on the magazine. So what is the meaning of the tarot card? The tower, the one that the Watchtower decided to name their whole religion after. Well, that woman I played earlier, she gave her she started to explain really well what the meaning of this card means. But you're going to find different reasons for it. So I'm just going to show a couple other just summaries of what this card actually means. So this definition says it means destruction, upheaval, trauma, disaster, loss, tragedy, revelations, confusion, pain, divorce, abuse, violence. Doesn't that sound familiar? Not too many organizations group all those negative things in one paragraph. Let's take a look at another one. Sudden change, ruin, mistakes, unexpected issue, danger, crisis, destruction of old, force, rage, depression, divorce, hard times, wounded pride, violence, harm, unpleasant surprise, accident. Doesn't that sound like the typical Watchtower, Jehovah's Witness, door-to-door sales pitch? Right? I mean, isn't that the exact message? Isn't that their favorite message to preach on most of their Watchtower magazines? Very, very similar to the Watchtower. Let's take a look at this one. Chaos, destruction, sudden upheaval, trauma, unexpected change, disaster, loss, tragedy, revelations, confusion, pain, divorce, abuse, violence, bankruptcy, natural disasters. All they have to do is put the word watch between the tower, and this could be a Watchtower trek, right? Isn't that exactly what their treks always preach? Their public magazines for the public. I mean, isn't this what they always are preaching? The same message? The only thing missing is the word watch in between the tower. And this one is simplified. Destruction, chaos, tragedy. So isn't this the exact same thing that Jehovah's Witnesses has been preaching since the 1800s? Isn't this the images that they're always pushing out to the public? Destruction, chaos, tragedy. I mean, isn't this their whole theme? Here's another Watchtower Armageddon picture. Destruction, upheaval, trauma, disaster, loss, tragedy, revelations, confusion, pain, divorce, abuse, violence. Watchtower illustrates this pretty well. I mean, what other organization illustrates this and pumps this out to the literature or pumps this literature out to the public for hundreds of years? The same message, right? Let's take a look at another picture from the Watchtower. Sudden change, ruin, mistakes, unexpected issue, danger, crisis, destruction of old, forced rage, depression, divorce, hard times, wounded pride, violence, harm, unpleasant surprise, accident. This is Watchtower stuff, right? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Watchtower is taking these sales pitches directly out of the meaning of these tarot cards. Chaos, destruction, sudden upheaval, trauma, unexpected change, disaster, right? These are the Watchtower's old Armageddon pictures. I think they got a little bit better. They're not as graphic as they used to be because people started to realize that they are a religious cult and demonic. So I think their newer magazines improved on these images a little bit, but this is their theme. What the actual Tower tarot card means is exactly what they're preaching. This is the image. This is the fear they want to put in the public. Now let's read this one. A structure has suddenly and violently come crashing down, leading to chaos and distress. Notice they said violently, right? Armageddon. Jehovah's day is coming. But notice what the second paragraph says. Or not the second paragraph, let's see. Okay, it represents a sudden massive change. You will have to abandon the past, which may mean the loss of money, security, or short-term happiness. This means a period of upheaval, but you can take advantage of the catastrophic, build something better where your old tower stood. Get that? Your old tower stood, build something better. And then in the top paragraph, it says, so a structure has suddenly and violently come crashing down, leading to chaos and distress, but it has also made room for something new to be built. That was the line I was looking for, not so much the other paragraph. So as you see on this picture on the right, this is something new, right? The system comes crashing down, but the new system is coming, right? And look at this picture. So you see this black sister right here, this Jehovah's Witness. Do you see how happy she is that all these people are being murdered? I mean, look at the background of this picture. This is a burning apartment building. A burning apartment building. It looks like it's like an 8-story building. Think about how many women and children would be in that building burning alive. And look how happy this sister is, right? I bet she's a pioneer, right? She's just so happy, right? They're all so happy as people are burning in this building, right? That is definitely a nice depiction of God that Jehovah's Witnesses serve, right? That as these people are burning, being destroyed, look at their faces. They couldn't be happier about that, right? But as the tower says, that's what they need. They need the system to come crashing down to make their new system or new world order. And here's another picture of the same thing, right? As they're walking into the paradise, right? The destruction and chaos, just as the tower card stated. So now I ask the question, this is where I want Jehovah's Witnesses who are watching this video to really think. Why have they not got rid of the name Watchtower and have this tower symbol removed, especially seeing how we can see now it comes from the tarot card, right? So see, some people could say, oh, that was in the past, that was Russell's time and they made adjustments. Well, as you can see, this very last magazine here at the bottom right, this is the March 2024 edition because they always print stuff ahead of time. So this is the newest Watchtower magazine that's out. And as you can see, you still got the name Watchtower, but that cross, I mean, not the cross, the top of the tower that's shaped like a crown, right? Specifically shaped like a crown because that has hidden meaning to it. Now, don't you think it's kind of strange that after over 100 years, the Watchtower did not change this tower logo? They insist that every magazine they must stamp this tarot card tower on all their magazines. Like, why don't they just get rid of that? Now, as you can see when you look at the first Watchtower, that it was very clearly dark, gloomy, esoteric, and looks just like the tarot card. So you can see over time, they got away from that tarot card look to keep it discreet, the origins. But why do they insist on holding on to the name Watchtower and stamping the crown-shaped tower? Why don't they just get rid of it? I mean, think about it. This organization changes everything. They used to call themselves the Bible students, and then they call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses. They changed the Bible like 3 times. They changed their view on blood. They now say you can wear beards. I mean, this organization changes So often, I mean, every annual meeting, they might as well call it the annual changes because now every annual meeting is just an opportunity for them to make all these changes. They're not even the same religion. If you look back at Charles Taze Russell's old literature and read his stuff, I mean, he was talking about, ancient Egypt and the pyramids in Giza. It's not even the same religion when you go back that far. Like that's how much their teachings has changed. Yet, why do they insist on not changing the tower icon, right? The tower icon that must be shaped like a crown. Why do they insist on holding on to that and holding on to the name Watchtower, which we know is from the Tower tarot card? Well, the reason that I propose, and I cannot, of course, prove this, but the reason that they will not let go of the name Watchtower and the crown shaped tower is because people that mess around with this black magic stuff and the Jehovah's Witnesses are very, very dark at the top. You see, there's a strong meaning of this tower card, and they're preaching what the tower card represents. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses are preaching. So why won't they give up this name and this tower-shaped crown icon? Well, some people in the New Age community heard of the term called like manifestation, law of attraction, scripting, speaking things into existence. Now, while Jehovah's Witnesses are told all that is demonic, stay away from it, the people who run Watchtower, and obviously the founder that decided to name their magazine after the tarot card, we see they believe in this stuff very, very real. They believe in manifesting things, attracting things, scripting things, speaking things into existence. So, what I propose, and again, I can't prove this, but this is the only thing that logically makes sense at this point, is that they're trying to manifest and bring forth this new system, Armageddon, destruction, chaos. They want to make this come true. What the Tower card represents is what their whole religion is based on. So you see, by putting these subliminal images on their Watchtower magazine, by holding the name Watchtower and making sure that crown-shaped tower is stamped on all their magazines, they're trying to bring this forth into reality. And then the Jehovah's Witnesses are speaking it into existence, what they call scripting. Every week, did you study your Watchtower? Oh, what was the Watchtower study about? Did you download a new Watchtower? Oh, look up this Watchtower. Oh, the Watchtower said this. They're constantly, constantly talking about this tarot card. They don't even know that's what they're talking about. So they're constantly talking about this tarot card. They're constantly preaching the tarot card. Everything the tarot card represents that we looked at the definition is the exact message that they preach. In fact, any one of those definitions that I said earlier, you could just put the word watch between tower and it's a Watchtower Bible and Tract Society track. So I believe there's a strong esoteric occultic reason that they will not leave the name Watchtower. They stand by this. They will not get rid of the tower and they will not get rid of the name. But if you're watching this and you're a Jehovah's Witness, why don't you ask your local elders why the religion named their whole company after the tarot card called the Tower?